What's up, guys? Level Zero Dad here. Today, we're trying out something new, a game called Broken Ranks Beta. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should. Broken Ranks already has a full PC version that's been around for a while, known for its dark fantasy world, gritty storytelling, and that old-school, tactical, turn-based combat. But this one right here? This is the mobile beta build, meaning it's still a work in progress, still being tuned, and still missing some of the polish you'd expect from the full release. Think of it like the devs giving us early access to peek behind the curtain. Same world, same style, same strategic combat, but scaled down for Android and not quite finished yet. Bugs, missing features, UI issues, they're all part of the package. But that's exactly why we're here, to check it out, see how it plays, and figure out if this beta shows signs of a solid RPG coming to mobile. So let's jump in and take a look at Broken Ranks Beta. Before we jump into the actual gameplay, the first thing the game asks you to do is register or log in. You can make a separate account if you want, but honestly, I always just link my games to Google. It's cleaner, faster, and I don't need to remember another username and password. After that, you just accept the usual terms of service and privacy policy. Pretty basic stuff, nothing out of the ordinary. Once that's done, we go straight into creating the account, and we're in. Account created. Alright, the game now needs to download the data resources, so I'll be back once everything finishes installing. Alright, once everything's downloaded, we land on the server screen. Right now, there's only one server available, which makes sense. The game is still in beta, so they're probably keeping things tight and controlled to iron out bugs. No problem, we'll hop into the only server they've got. And now, here's the fun part, choosing a hero class. Let's take a quick look at each class to see what they bring to the table and help us pick our very first hero. Barbarian, high melee damage and good survivability. Alright, solid frontliner. Mental defense is low though, so mind attacks could be rough. Interesting, he often attacks last, so timing might matter. Knight, powerful buffs and very high survivability. Looks like he's built to tank, but solo performance is only average and debuffs are weak. Clearly shines in a team. Fire Mage, high range damage and strong AoE attacks, classic glass cannon. Low survivability and poor debuffs mean you really need to stay back and pick your shots. Voodoo, great debuffs and often goes first, giving him early control. Accuracy is low and melee defense is weak, a tactical opener if you play smart. Sheed, strong debuffs and very high survivability, he usually attacks last, which is interesting. Mental defense is average, making him a slow but durable disruptor. Archer, high accuracy and great debuffs. Survivability is average, mental defense is low, so this one's a long-range precision fighter. Keep your distance. Druid, restores health and resources, has good mental attacks and defense. Damage is low, melee defense is poor, definitely a support class to keep your team alive. Alright, so those are the 7 classes, each with their own strengths and weaknesses based on what I'm seeing here. And it looks like for every class, you can also switch to a female version if you prefer. Nice touch. Let me think about which one we're rolling with. Alright, for my very first hero, I'm going with the Knight. Out of all the classes, he's got very high survivability and some really solid buffs, which makes him perfect for learning the flow of the game without getting punished too hard early on. Since this is my first run, I'd rather have someone who can keep himself alive while I figure things out. Wow, the game actually lets you customize how your hero looks. I always appreciate it when devs put effort into small details like this. It just makes the whole experience feel more personal. Alright, I'll play around with the options and finalize my Knight's look. I'll be back once I'm done customizing. Alright, I'm done customizing. Let's finalize this hero and hopefully start playing. It starts with a backstory of how our hero begins his adventure. I like this. Having that origin story, or prologue, whatever you want to call it, gives players a reason behind what they're fighting for. It makes the whole experience more immersive and personal. Let's watch it.
Take a deep breath and hold it. Aim at the heart. You've done well. Let's go home. It's getting dark.
You didn't know that another darkness was approaching. The neighboring Utor launched a surprise attack on your motherland, Teer. The defenders mustered a great army and faced the invaders at the gates of the Teernian capital. The invaders were driven by the will of the mighty Hagon and vile magic. The defenders were fighting for their lives. Our ranks were broken. Our king was slain. The Utorian hordes flooded our motherland. Nothing else stood in their way. They spared nothing and no one. Life, as you knew it, was about to end.
Run to the stronghold of Thalia. Join the garrison and bring help. Go now!
The mighty, impenetrable Thalia. Unfortunately, Utor was already there.
Alright, here we go. It's always a good thing to start a new game with a tutorial. At first glance, the gameplay looks like the usual turn-based, old-school, almost 3D RPG battles. Your party on one side, enemies on the other. Standard unit portraits with health and mana bars are displayed above. I wonder what these attack and defend looking icons at the bottom of the screen do. Let's keep going and find out. Alright, so this game runs on action points, AP for short. We currently have 12, as shown in the 12/12 AP counter at the bottom. And those icons I was curious about earlier, they're actually attack and defense slots where you distribute your AP each turn. It says here that every AP you assign to an attack slot increases that attack's hit chance. And it's clear why the game lets you load multiple AP into a single slot. There are only 8 attack and defense slots, but you're given 12 AP to spend. Since your AP actually exceeds the number of slots, stacking them is the only way to fully use your points strategically. Alright, it says here that you only get 10 seconds per turn. So using preset tactics, which I'm guessing lets you assign AP to slots ahead of time, seems like the smarter approach. And judging by these tactic numbers on the left, it looks like you can set up multiple tactics before going into battle. It also says that the percentage above the enemy's head shows my chance to hit. Simple enough. Alright, let's keep going. After tapping Tactic 1, the timer pops up, though it looks like it isn't counting down normally since we're still in the tutorial. The arrow's pointing straight at the timer, so let's go ahead and tap it. Alright, so our hero makes 5 attacks, but only 1 actually hits and deals damage, while the rest miss. Meanwhile, the enemy strikes back with 2 attacks that have much higher accuracy, and only 1 of them hits our hero. And based on this tip, it seems that the enemy's defense configuration was set to counter melee attacks, which is why most of our strikes missed. Okay, as predicted, the enemy had set a melee guard. And since we only control our hero, we'll need to switch our attack zone to ranged by choosing Tactic 2. Let's see how our attacks perform this time after the adjustments we made. Nice. 4 out of 5 connected. We dealt a solid chunk of damage this time. Let's try to finish this guy off. It also reminds us to keep an eye on the enemy's HP. Sure, it's basic stuff, but some players still overlook it, especially when the fight gets hectic, so it's a good reminder to slow down and finish the job efficiently. Alright, our very first kill in the game. Well, if you don't count the deer in the prologue. So as a final reminder for battles, always check the enemy's HP and your own. Keep an eye on your hit chance, and switch attack zones whenever needed. And that wraps up my very first dive into Broken Ranks beta. From stepping into the world for the first time, checking out the classes, choosing the knight as our very first hero, customizing his look, and getting a feel for combat through the tutorial. This has been a solid first taste of what the game has to offer. And so far, I'm really getting into it. Genuinely curious about what else this world has in store. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into the overall gameplay. Starting from what you're seeing here, exploring more of the terrain and the flow of the adventure ahead. If you enjoyed this first video in our new series, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're a Broken Ranks beta player, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what's on your mind. This is Level 0 Dad, where Zero hopefully becomes a hero. See you in the next one.